look, I just actually bent it. And just out of principle, because I don't want to give $110 to BMW, I feel doubtful, but let's see what happens. Welcome back to the finale of the E90 M3 build series here, and we are going to be starting off with the suspension. First off, doing the arms. If you're a BMW guy, you know these control arms, these lower ones up front and all around actually tend to fail, and when they fail, you just lose that sharp dialed in steering feel that you usually have with these cars. And most people, what they do is they replace this rear bushing right here with a spherical one because it takes a lot of the compliance out. However, that adds harshness to your ride. And what I am doing is I'm going with a set of hard race units that are very rarely used on these cars. I haven't seen many people use them, but they have a hardened rubber bushing in here. We sourced these through our friends at Stage 4 Motorsports, and I think these are going to be the right ticket for still maintaining the compliance, but getting rid of the slop with like the factory ones have. I am also upgrading the rear trailing arm with a hard race unit. The factory one is a spherical in the back here, you can see. And this is the hard race one, so it also has that spherical. So I'm not sure if there's a lot of performance to be found there, but this one does have 160,000 kilometers on it. You can see this ball joint is pretty well used, and this one, well, there we go. See, it's nice and fresh. Next on the to-do list is to replace the OEM shocks. I suspect these have the 164,000 kilometers that the vehicle has. They haven't been replaced. So I am making an upgrade with a set of Bilstein ones here. These supposedly are 15% stiffer in all of the EDC modes, and that is the reason why I am not going with a set of coilovers on this car. First of all, it's not a track car. Second of all, this the original setup has the EDC, so the electronic dampening control, and I want to keep that. Bilstein offers this replacement shock, as you can see, with that control in place. So I'll be able to change the modes from soft to stiff when I want without really losing any of the compliance that I would with going to a coilover setup. And I think this is really the way to go for a street car and maybe a car that sees a little bit of track use. I'm also gonna be switching out the Swift springs over to a set of Dynon springs, and these lower the vehicle 1 inch in the front and 0.7 inches in the rear. These are 0.5, so half an inch all the way around. So I'm actually raising the car up, which is counterintuitive, but the roads that we have here are just so harsh and bumpy. I wanted to give this setup a try. One thing to note, you can see the EDC wire actually is running from below the shock here versus up top where the OE one is, and that is because this is an inverted damper, which is kind of cool. So check out this long extension here that I just plugged in for the EDC, and now this runs all the way up through here. Okay, things just got way cooler. Check this out. I know this is so minor, but this is a detail I appreciate. I appreciate the small details when installing stuff. Look, Bilstein includes this setup here because when they want you to take this wire and run it up, it slips on over this stud here as such, and now gives you the ability to put a zip tie onto it, guys. Which, they could have made you wrap it around here, but no, that is not the German way. The German way is to provide a little stud or a little thing that goes onto the stud, now it won't touch our precious water bottle neck there. And now we can just zip tie this on and complete the install here. Before we go moving on to the back, there are a few things that I want to take care of up front still. And the first one is, you may have noticed I was reusing the original outer tie rod. So thanks to the guys over at FCP Euro, I ordered a set of outers very, very quickly. Those guys are awesome in terms of getting parts to us quickly. And same to you guys, they've got, you know, enthusiast people that work there. They know their stuff, and I just plain like working with them. If you watched the previous build series, you know that I installed Hawk DTC 60s, which are a very track-oriented pad, and they worked well on the track. However, I don't love them for the street, and because we are going to be, or I'm gonna be using this car now predominantly on the street, I'm going to go to a proper street pad, and that is a set of Hawk HPS 5.0 pads. These are a true street pad, low dust, but they have better initial bite than the OEM stuff, and they are way more affordable. We run these on a bunch of our cars and really like them. Hawk does say if you have a different compound pad, you got to come in and scuff your rotor with like 100 grit sandpaper to kind of just get all the material off. I know some of you are wondering, why on earth am I spray painting the center here with some VHT flame-proof spray paint? You guys will find out when we put the wheels on. However, at this point, the front end is done, so now we're gonna pretty much repeat what we did up front on the rear. And there it is, our rear end is complete. The EDC compatible Bilstein shock is in, the Dynon spring is in, and we did a plethora of the hard race arms to replace what I think are original control arms from the M. And the only difference that I'm not 100% sure on is the hard race arms do not have sphericals. They are all hardened rubber on both ends, whereas you can see this rear trailing arm right there, this one has both sphericals, and the upper arms here had a spherical up top here and had a bushing here. So really, from a racetrack perspective, there may be some slight negative there, but from a street comfort perspective, I don't think there's gonna be much change. And as I said, I think we're some of the few people to actually run all these arms in this hardened rubber. Most people always choose spherical. So this is kind of a you know, exploratory path. I'm excited to give this a try to see how this works. One of the more significant upgrades is this rear trailing arm right here. You can see this piece is the factory one and it is stamped. And look, I just actually bent it there. I didn't mean to do that, guys. I was just trying to show you. You can see it is very, very soft. So we're certainly gonna get a lot more stiffness here. And any of these parts, if you're looking for them, there will be a link in the description. Before we move on to the wheel and tire reveal, we are going to do a few small upgrades to the exterior. Put the bumper back on before we show you those amazing wheels and tires. And the first one is I am going to de-chrome this car to a certain extent. So in its place, I do have gloss black, everybody. I think that's going to look the part. The only thing I'm not 100% sure of is the gloss centerpiece. I may just go back to the flat or satin or whatever that is, the OEM piece, but let's just drop this in here, have a look at it, and then we can make a decision here. You can see on this side, I kept the center section that is the OEM grille versus keeping with the gloss one, and I think I do like it this way. It just feels more OEM. For those of you wondering where I sourced the black grills from, that is from RW Carbon, the same place that the front lip is from. I do find the fitment on their product has been pretty damn good so far, so I would highly recommend from there. The other thing I'm gonna make an upgrade with is this unsightly amber turn signal, or reflector I should say, is just hideous. And the quick and cheap way to replace it is with a color matched piece like this that you can buy online. The expensive way is to get a Euro bumper. So there are bumpers out there that exist that you can bring in from Europe, and they do not have the side marker, but then you know you gotta repaint your bumper and do all that, which is costly. Or you do something like this, and there you go, you have yourself a somewhat sleeker look for the bumper. Next up on the chrome delete is this side vent, this centerpiece here. You can see it does have the chrome there. At this point, I want it to match the front. This, however, isn't as easy as the grille was. It does require a little bit more force to pop out. I don't see like that. And then, did I scratch the paint?
Did you?
Very closely. I don't think I did.
Painter's tape on there, buddy.
Nah, at this point, I'm living dangerously with the BMW.
Sand.
I can see it's just caught right on the end here.
An air chisel, PT. There you go.
Oh yeah? Right into here, just destroy this thing. Okay. Oh, it's close. It's so close. Come on. There it goes.
There it goes. Yeah.
Oh, I think I've done it without destroying it. Still fighting me.
Famous last words.
Still fighting me. So here's the blacked out trim piece from RW Carbon, and as you'll notice, it doesn't come with the M3 logo. And for good reason. I know why they don't supply it, because this small little sticker is $55 US for one side. So the other side, you're in 110 bucks. And just out of principle, because I don't want to give $110 to BMW, I'm going to heat this up, peel it, and reuse it on that one, because it's ridiculous, DP. Like, what is BMW doing charging $55 for this? There you go, guys, right here. It is off. I'm just gonna take this double-sided tape off there and, you know, put some double-sided tape on, stick it on here, and no one will be wiser other than the 60,000 of you that watch this video. It is just a hair thicker, unfortunately, the 3M tape, than the original tape on there, but again, once you put it on, you push it down. Nobody's gonna notice, everybody. Look at that. Now let's get this thing back on and I'll show you what it looks like. And the install, of course, so much easier. Takes 30 seconds or 5 there, done. That piece of trim around here should not have separated, so it is somewhat broken, but you know, this isn't a $100,000 M3, so I'm not gonna care too much, but you can see the effect of it. Obviously, it does match the front grille, and I just think it gives it a sleeker look.
Feels personal now, PT. This feels like revenge. You're taking revenge on your BMW.
Well, I just, you know, I'm a very low-key kind of guy. I don't like flash, I don't like straight pipes. You know, I like my turbo noises. I don't like my exhaust noises to be too loud. And I thought long and hard, you know, getting this as a black M3 badge, but then I thought, you know what? Let's just get rid of the M3 badge itself because, well, you know what? Just let's say goodbye to it because I don't really think this car needs to be announcing it's an M3, does it, DP?
It doesn't
I don't
need
think
to,
so.
It just feels like you're debadging it out of spite.
No. Ooh, this has got kind of hot there, but you know, we've got a little bit of cleanup to do here, and you'll see. I think this is the right way, and I know some of you are gonna say, but what about the chrome in the BMW Rondell? Well, you know what? That's there, and that you can't change because it looks super cheesy when you go to a blacked out BMW grille or Rondell. And look, the glue, non-existent, came off. It's like it knew, the car knew, I need to remove this. I even used just a little bit of spray wax detailer from Simonize there, and look, EP, it's perfection. I like it. I actually really like it. I think not having the badge there just makes this car look, as I said, a little bit more low-key. And here is my street setup for wheels and tires, a set of 18 by 9.5 plus 22 TE37 SL wheels in titanium silver, wrapped in a set of Continental 275/35/18 Extreme Contact Sport O2s. And for those of you looking to buy a set of Continental tires right now till the end of November, you get a $110 prepaid Visa in the mail if you purchase a set of Continental tires. So if you've been waiting to buy a set of Contis, now is the time to do it. There is a link in the description to go do that. And when I look at these, I'm not 100% sure that this was necessarily the right color. First of all, I made the mistake, I think, of reusing the chrome lug nuts. I should have probably gone with a set of black ones. You know, there's always small little details that I forget to order. I will certainly replace those. You can see though, paint matching the center has been a good thing. It almost matches the wheel perfectly. These don't have center caps. There are some like weird new center caps that you can get for SLs. I don't necessarily love them. I think this was the way to go. The other thing that I know some of you will notice is the ride height. And people, these will settle. We have a brand new set of Bilstein shocks on here. with those Dynon coilover, or those Dynon springs. The springs will come down and the shocks will settle. I did a bunch of research on this stuff. People are complaining when you install new Bilsteins on this car, this platform, they do raise the ride height, and most people are saying your old shocks are usually blown or they've sagged a bunch. So what happens is you look at your car, then you put the new shocks on, and all of a sudden it looks like it's raised it up, but it's actually gone back to factory ride height. So when you look at this car, don't judge it. I know it doesn't look great right now because it feels too high, but this car will come down. Here are the wheels that I am planning to run on the track. These are a set of Apex VS5RS, and these you can see have this like brushed metal finish on them. And truthfully, I like the way, I think these wheels do look better than the TE37s just because of the contrast of the finish of the wheel on the silver looks better, where that car was just like, it was just flat. It was really, really flat. So if those wheels were black, like blue, anything else, I think they would look super cool as well. So, but anyways, post in the comments, guys, let me know what your favorite wheel is between the two. And we'll just leave it at that. Sometimes, you know, I wish everything could be a 10 out of 10 victory here, but sometimes it does happen where, you know, I get the colors wrong. In my mind, I thought that silver was gonna look so good on this car, but now seeing it in real life, it just falls a little flat. It is a new day, and the last of the cosmetic upgrades have arrived, and that is a set of halo LED lights. I know some of the purists don't like this mod. I personally do, because I just can't stand the halos. The color temperature is just such a like a bland yellow when you look at it from the factory. You can see it's just like way too warm. I did a bunch of research. These seem like the company to go to, the Lux Angel Eyes. They've got the best warranty. They don't like mess with the electronics. They seem to work just fine. So I did install them there, and these actually are really cool because they have adjustable color temperature. So you can set your color temperature all the way from 5,000 K to 12,000, which seems crazy. But you know, you can certainly dial them in. However, you will notice there is like a weird downside to going to these. These are, I think, almost like 30 or 40% brighter than the stock light bulb for the LED or for the halo. And you can see this side here, the outer ring is just slightly darker than the inside one, and that is because the way these are built is there's only one light bulb that goes here that lights this one up, and then there's like a transfer light, like a transfer tube that runs over to this one, and it transfers a light into here, so it's slightly darker, and that isn't as noticeable on that setup, but on here you can see the inside is quite brighter, and this is gonna look even more on camera.
Yeah, it's blown out on camera.
Exactly, versus the inside here where this one is certainly darker. And that is just a byproduct, as I said, of that light transfer. You're not gonna get as much happening, and there's really nothing you can do about it. And this is the part where I say, all right, it is time to go for a drive to see how the suspension feels, how the intake noise from that carbon plenum is so marvelous. However, yesterday we had a weird thing where the car didn't want to start after it ran, and that was in the morning. And now the next day is here again. We were able to get it started by resetting the battery. That was like the only way. We cleared all the codes and we couldn't get it to start, or we got it started with the battery reset. However, now this morning, the same problem persists. So you guys are gonna see the car starts and then instantly shuts down. If I try again, see, oh, and then dead again, and does not want to run. And we have a bunch of malfunctions. So let me plug in a scanner and I'll show you what they look like. Here I've got a top-down scan tool. This is a pretty high-end, powerful unit for scanning a car. It does a bunch of stuff. And you can see we now have a bunch of faults. We'll start off with the DME, and we can read the trouble codes. And here we have idle actuator, throttle actuator, Vanos, throttle valve monitoring, a whole bunch of stuff. There are also a bunch of other codes, as you guys saw there. What is junction box electronics. The issue, junction box valve or control valve and AC compressor. So the issue here is these codes do appear. It looks like what is happening is a CAN bus is being taken down by whatever fault that is happening, because if we reset the battery, this vehicle will start up and run, and none of these codes are present. We have already tried, we charged the battery. You can see we have 12.24 volts. This battery is essentially a brand new battery, so there are no issues with that. However, I really, at this point, am not sure what to do, because we are kind of at a loss as to where to go from here, because the car does run fine with the reset. However, if you let it sit, it will kind of like time out, and then we'll have the same issue occur. Having had a look at all of the wiring, the connectors, the loom here, nothing seems out of the ordinary. Doesn't look like we have any damaged wires or anything of the sort. So the next step is here just to start plugging stuff in off of the other motor to see if those faults that come up are actually truthful or not. So I've got the idle actuator right here. We're gonna start with this guy to see if this is possibly the problem. You can see we still do have the same code, so all I'm gonna do is clear them here before we move forward, because I don't want a situation where those codes are causing the engine not to fire. So we're just gonna go through. There we go, we've got no codes. So let us see if this will work. I feel doubtful, but let's see what happens. Now it just cranks. So the other thing is we can just swap back to the OE BMW actuators, because we have those. At this point, there's no chance those actuators are an issue, but you know,
working, but
I know we just have to eliminate it. Like, this is a process of elimination. This is what you never really want to have to do, is just like start throwing parts at something and hope that there's a fix here. So both Evolve throttle actuators are out, and let's see what happens. I don't think we have solved anything. These are rebuilt, known to be good, tested. Some of you maybe it's an ITB car, so there's no downside or no issue with trying to do that, but let's see what happens now. So stock throttle actuators, and
so tempting.
The exact same problem. Oh boy, DP, this one, this one I think is going to be a tough one at this point, because I'm not sure what to do. Let's, I think I'm gonna have to call a couple lifelines here, some BMW experts, and see if they can kind of fill me in on this. Another day down, and it's a fresh one. I spoke to a bunch of people, mainly my buddy Franz, who is not a BMW expert, but somebody I turn to when I need help. And he reached out to his friend Clevis, who is a BMW expert and works on these all the time, and pointed out to me that, well, when people do this engine swap, what they usually do is they put this wire here, people. You see this wire here, this one that I've connected to a positive terminal right here. They make the mistake of hooking this up to here, and where do you guys think it would go? Well, you know what? At first, I couldn't see anything, and then I realized, oh, look what is behind the washer fill nozzle here. Look at that, a ground. So what we have done is made an amateur mistake of hooking up a positive, or sorry, a ground to a positive. And when you look at this, you go, oh, actually, there's black like sheathing over this. This has red sheathing, so typically this should have red sheathing.
It looks like it should go there, man. That's crazy.
But it does, you're right. When you do look at it, it like fits up pretty perfect. And there is just this random stud. This is kind of one of those things where when I was putting this on, I'm like, oh, we're missing the nut for this because there was no nut. As you can see, what we usually do is we put stuff back on the negative one here. It was right here. So I was like, oh, there's no nut. We must have lost it. Whatever. Let's put it on and hook it up. But, you know, this is what distinguishes professionals from amateurs like us. And we don't have enough experience working on this chassis. So we wouldn't have known. I mean, I guess I should have known, but hindsight is always 20/20. Hopefully, this is the one.
It looks like it was designed to fool you.
It does.
Why would they do that?
The curve of it goes up, but listen.
Like some cruel German humor happening here? What is going on?
Dave, let's just be thankful that it is a simple mistake here, not something, you know, that I thought. I was like ready to go, oh my goodness, something like electrical has gone wrong here and we are completely screwed. This is like a miracle fix, like an easy fix in the grand scheme of things. I'll take this all day long. What I also find funny is when you look at it, there is just this stud that, you know, kind of sticks out, says, hey, put something on me. But I bet you any money that is for, let's say, I don't know, a 335i or like a 328i that needs that terminal, and they just put it in here because, well, they reuse parts. The other thing that to me is a little bit puzzling is that hooking up a negative ground to a positive usually causes a short of sorts that will pop a fuse, but somehow the electronics in this car don't do that. Instead, they do this where like the car, that kind of makes sense, where the car starts up when you hook the battery up, probably because this hasn't, like, you know, the module or whatever to this hasn't turned on, so then it like works, but if it sits for a while, it sees the fault and like shuts it down. So there we go, that is hooked up. Let's see if this thing starts now. Even though this is fixed, I still have that like looming feeling that it might not start DP because,
me too.
you know, it's a BMW after all. So.
What a ridiculous thing.
Oh man, that's chalk that one up to, you know, the full ridiculousness and just, this is how it goes sometimes with guys like us that are amateurs working on cars like this and make mistakes. So I'm gonna shut this thing down now and try to figure out, just put everything back together at this point. So I just took the car around the block. Everything seems to be working well. So now it is time to do one last thing, and that is to flash an ECU tune into this car. Because I've got the plenum, because I've got the secondary cats at Evolve mid-pipe section, I'm going to upload an Evolve tune from them, which is going to, you know, do a host of things. It's going to make the car run smoother from what I've read. Like, you just get better throttle response, and it's going to make a bit of power. The Evolve tune seems to be one of the best ones on the market, and obviously because I have so much of the parts on here, I'm going with it. You can see I'm using their software. It's quite easy. All I had to do was, you know, read my ECU memory first, send that to them, then they sent me a custom file. You can see here, Stage 2 decat with 91 octane, and that is it, and it is uploading. It's gonna take probably 5 to 10 minutes, and we will be ready to go.
Got a very important question for you, Peter. Did you ever think you'd drive this car again?
I knew I would, DP.
I felt for a minute like you might not. But
The wallet is certainly lighter, but look,
it drives.
It's back.
It is.
Man, it is good. It is good. It's good. It's good to be back.
It's a great car.
And look, here's some bumps here. Oh, the suspension is actually so different.
Yeah, it is different.
It's wild. Like, obviously the arms are all new.
Yes.
Which, like, this car feels really tight. Like,
yes.
Really, really tight right now.
Yes, it does feel more
like
responsive.
A new car.
It does feel new, yeah.
The steering wheel, you can see, is crooked. We do have to take it for an alignment, but it's wild in terms of the difference from the previous suspension, which I thought was pretty damn good, to now this.
Yes.
This is like really tight.
It does feel tight.
The dampers certainly, I think, are firmer.
Yeah,
but not in a bad way.
No.
Like, look at over these bumps.
Yeah, no, it allows some body motion.
Yeah.
But over the high-speed stuff, you do feel that it is firmer.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to give you much better motion control in aggressive driving.
I feel it.
With like basically no trade-off.
Yeah, it doesn't
quality.
have, the float is gone.
The float is gone, yeah. That's a good way to put it.
And let's put this into the stiffest mode here. And yeah, it's certainly...
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
You feel it over those bumps.
Yeah, you can certainly see it's going to be, I think, you know, from a track perspective, probably as good as it's going to get on this type of like EDC setup.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's fair to say.
Listen to the sound of this engine, DP.
Oh,
That intake now, man. Oh,
nice. It's a very musical V8, isn't it? And
it really is, man. Like this car is, it really is something special. We did warm this thing up. Listen to it go. Oh man, the intake now.
Oh yeah, it does have a much crisper intake sound.
Yeah.
It feels more race car with that intake noise.
It really does.
Oh, and those downshifts too.
Oh.
Oof.
But it is tamer.
Yes.
The exhaust is more
It's not
quiet.
as raspy,
Yes.
metallic sounding.
Yes,
Like
it doesn't
it's a
have that like
cleaner-
bark
Yes,
as much anymore. So
Yes, it's a cleaner sound.
I love the paddles on this car. Oh,
God, it's good.
needs an alignment, but
does.
the paddles I find are just really nice from a perspective of, like you saw there, I'm in a corner shifting.
Mm-hmm.
So these Evolve paddles, I really like. The brakes feel good, like they have those HPS 5.0s
yeah.
have good initial
They do,
bite. But,
yeah.
oh, the squeak is gone.
Exactly.
They almost feel like the
dust is
trackpad's
gone, the
DP.
squeak is gone. It's a really good
So-
street pad.
Oh, just listen to this thing.
It's glorious.
It's just so good. So
It's kind of insane to think, you know, our frustration level is getting high enough where we're like, we should just 2J swap it. But then when you hear this motor
I know,
with this gearbox,
yes.
like this is an amazing combination.
oh my God.
It's so good.
How? Like,
It's so
you know,
good.
and so many people complain and they go, how can you spend all the money? Like, look at the
Oh,
way
man.
BMW drains the wallet. Well, people, it's all because of this. You can drive around and you can do this, and it just, name a car that does this, DP.
I don't know. I can't think of too many.
ISF?
Certainly at
Close.
this price point, you know. like-
Close, but not there, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yes, no, I agree.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of the closest thing that the AMG product, I don't think, rival this. Like, it just...
I mean, they're cool in their own way. They have
Yeah.
more of a muscle car vibe to me, where this feels more motorsports, feels more, you know, a bit more of a pure driver's car.
Listen to that noise, that intake,
Oh,
man.
right.
It's now become throaty.
Yeah, and even though you're, you know, 40K instead of 30K into this, you can't be mad about what you get for 40K. Like, this is an amazing car
It really is.
at any price, and there's
I-
such good value. It's, yes, I think it is an engine that, you know, is a little high-strung. We've learned the hard way. It can hurt you, but man, those noises are so
But
good.
I will say, this is the worst idea known to man. This is how we know this engine level
The
is
oil
okay.
level, yeah, the oil
I
level.
want a goddamn dipstick,
I know.
man.
Give us a dipstick.
Give
This
me a
is absurd.
dipstick. Give me
It's
a dipstick.
absurd.
Oh, God.
That and how you fill the DCT gearbox too is absurd. Like, both of those procedures are kind of insane. Like,
Listen to those downshifts. I
know.
know that the DCT, the procedure of like having to, you know, warm it up and do all that stuff. Yes, I agree. Seems a little ridiculous,
the
but
fact
you
that
know.
we couldn't get as much fluid in there, we thought in the end we got to sort it out. But
Yes, for all of the for those of you that said in the first video you didn't fill it correctly, we have gone through the procedure of filling it correctly.
yes, and
uh,
double and triple checked it now.
Yes.
So
Yes. So.
yeah, we're pretty confident on that now.
Oh.
But it's a process. The BMW life is a process.
It really is, but man, like, look at, now I'm gonna put this car back into normal mode, and look, it just putts around. You can drive it like a normal
You can.
person. It
Yeah.
shifts just like so smoothly. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
it really is such a compelling package. I know, again, given what we've been through, I think we, unfortunately, you know, I got the end of the stick to a certain extent. We just, for whatever reason, the engine failed, and it did. And, you know, it really threw us back. It really ruined, I think, the experience for a lot of people of like, oh my God, this car, this is what happens. And it's true. Yes.
It can happen, but it can happen to anybody.
But it can happen to anybody. It can happen to any motor. We tried to do everything right, but something went wrong, whether it was a main, whether it was, you know.
Maybe we didn't have enough oil in it. Like,
exactly.
Who knows?
Like the oil starvation really, like just to beat a dead horse here, the oil starvation is what we likely think happened because of the way all of the bearings were wiped and the way that main bearing was wiped, right?
And the way that this system is just kind of difficult to you know, really trust what the levels are. And you've since learned that maybe overfilling these is a good thing.
I don't know, man. Like, yeah, you can see right now, you know, we are where we are, where we probably want to, you know, top it up a little bit more, but TP, the car is back.
It is.
And it is glorious once again. It's better than it was, which is fantastic. All right, everybody, that is going to be a wrap on this episode. And look, the BMW gods have even smiled upon me. They've lowered the car. You can see the front has come down tremendously. And man, it looks really good. The wheels have even grown on me too. Like seeing them out here, they certainly look pretty good. So I'm not so remorseful as I was before. I think they actually look pretty damn good on here. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you certainly enjoyed this video, think about giving us a thumbs up, subscribing and liking, or posting a comment. Let us know, did you enjoy this video series? Do you want to see more types of videos like this where we take a car and kind of build it into our dream spec? Or do you want to see more budget-oriented stuff where we take beaters and try to transform them? So let us know in the comments, and we will see you guys in the next one.